Very warm welcome to the Journey Journals by Life of Gaia. My name is Gaia, and today we have a fascinating and delightful guest. Her name is Rickie Avitan, and she is a psychic, a trance medium, a spiritual healer, and a clinical hypnotherapist. And I'd love you to just quickly introduce yourself and say hello, Rickie.
Hi, everybody. This is so wonderful to be here in the presence of love. And yes, just hello, everybody.
Thank you, Rickie. And again, a very warm welcome. Now, you have an absolutely incredible journey, which is why I wanted to have this interview with you, because you actually started your career as a nurse and in nursing, and then transitioned from that into trance mediumship. I'd love to hear the story around that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was 8 years old, back in Israel, we have a holiday that is similar to Halloween here in North America. And I dressed up as a nurse. So I've always had the affinity to nursing right from the get-go. And so I've had 30 years of nursing experience, and the last 20 years were in nursing education and leadership. When we move into the world of mediumship and the connection to trance and spirit, right from the get-go, as I remember myself, I have always had seen the unseen world. And so I remember as a little girl, 7 and 8 and 9, and would go to bed and I would see a spirit world. And when I would walk around, I would see beings. Uh, I had no explanation to it because in my country, Israel, we do not speak about those things. So I've lived with that very quietly, very silently. I remember as a little girl, I would climb up on a tree and I would sit there for hours. And I would be taken into this vision of being part of, now I know it's heavenly being. And I would be part of that conversation. But I always thought it's my imagination, it's my inner world. And in 2011, I had a neck injury, an unfortunate neck injury, part of my nursing career as I was working in the intensive care unit. And I have lost the function of my right arm. And I thought, okay, I can't do nursing anymore. And I went into hypnotherapy. In the hypnosis school, the teacher who was a psychic medium, she says, "You're a psychic medium." I didn't even know what she's talking about. But that was the beginning of my connection to the understanding that it's actually not my imagination, but there is all world out there that I have been connected to and familiar with right from a little girl. And so then I began the journey of taking development classes and making the conscious connection to it. So it began with the hypnosis schooling, and then I went into Arthur Findley College, and then it moved into naturally into what was already there, which is the trance mediumship.
Rickie, that's a fascinating journey. And I'd love to take a moment and just a pause to talk about the difference and the distinction between psychic mediumship and trance mediumship, because I didn't even know this before we met and before we started discussing this topic. And so I would love you to explain, especially to people who are maybe learning about this for the first time, what the difference and the distinction are, and between those two and even other forms of psychic abilities.
Yes, thank you very much. That's a very good question. So when we look into mediumship, I always like to look at it as an umbrella. And I also wanted to say that what I say in the next while is my understanding. And at this time, because within our world of spirit and mediumship, we have the ability to understand as our wisdom capacity to understand. So what I'm saying now might be different the next day and might be different than what other teachers are saying. So within the umbrella of mediumship, there are the mental mediumship and there is the physical mediumship. We are talking about the mental mediumship, meaning under the umbrella of mental mediumship, we have the perception mediumship and we have the control mediumship, which is the trance. Under the perception of mediumship, which normally people understand it as going to a medium and receiving messages from loved ones. So the medium will raise their vibration, the loved one, the spirit world, will lower their vibration and begin to deposit words, messages, symbolism, and so on to the medium mind, in which in turns he will deliver to the audience or to the person who they are sitting with. This is working within the perception, also known as clairs, clairvoyance, seeing, clairaudience, hearing, sentience, feeling, knowing, and tasting and smelling. All of it is within the inner senses. And so we are delivering, connecting to the world unseen, to loved one, and delivering the messages. It has to be evidence, evidential. So some things that we say within the evidence that the person who is receiving, the recipient receiving the message, is able to say, yes, I know that is my mom. Yes, I know this is my father. So evidential is really important. And this is all about supporting and uplifting people within their grief, within the bereavement, and within the understanding that life is eternal. Within that category of mental mediumship, we move into the trance mediumship. And the trance mediumship is still mind connecting and blending with the mind of the medium, which is very, very different. Within the perceptive mediumship, the medium is active, the energy is active, is alive. When we look at trance mediumship, also another name for it is control mediumship, the medium will move into an altered state of consciousness and over time move completely out of the way, conscious out of the way, and allowing the spirit world to get a hold of their mind. So then they can deliver the task, either philosophy, healing, painting, music, whatever they are working with that medium. So there is no possessing the medium. They're not taking grab of the medium or a host in the medium body, but it is blending with the mind, which is very important for the lay people to understand that. So I think that would be good. The other part is the physical mediumship, which is under different category, which we are not covering today. But the physical mediumship, it's the medium has the ability to produce an ectoplasm, and the physical phenomena will be shown externally outside of the medium body, so everybody can see it, everybody can hear it, everybody can know it.
Can you explain or speak into the actual process? Because you explained the difference between psychic mediumship and trance mediumship, but what is the actual process? Maybe if you want to even explain your process of actually connecting with the spirits as a trance or psychic medium.
Thank you. And thank you. It's a great question. The process is very different. So we have a practice that we call sitting in the power. And sitting in the power is having the ability to raise the vibration and the frequency within us and create the ability to create an attunement with spirit self to begin with. And that's the part that I've missed with my other question, answering the question. Creating an attunement, a connection with spirit self, it's utmost important to get to know who you are, what you're all about, not just your mental states, but your spirit, your essence, your soul. That's one part that I really, if anything people take from this interview, that's what I would like for them to take, is creating that relationship to get to know self, spirit self. So when we're looking at the process of connecting and merging with the world of spirit, it's very different from the perception mediumship. And I'm only talk about the trance mediumship. The means is altering the state of consciousness. So brain waves are slowing down, slowing down. So you would see the medium or the channeler as if they are kind of going to sleep. And in that state, we allow, we let, we invite, we surrender, we give permission and consent to the spirit friends to join and blend, get a hold of the medium mind. And so trance, it's about allowing, consenting, surrendering for an external intelligence to express themselves in philosophy, healing, many other ways. The whole work of trance, it's about refining and progressing. You refine your own vibration. As we refine the vibration, and this is over time, this is not overnight. We refine the vibration, we clear and pure our own being to raise the vibration and bring forward the opportunity for higher intelligence to come in, to join us, and to blend. And that is the key. It's to move the conscious mind out of the way, and this is over time, it takes time, to allow the world unseen to control spirit, the spirit friends, I call them, to blend and get a hold of the medium mind. And the key is for the medium to not engage in anything that is coming through the spirit, being a philosophy, a healing, and so forth. It is never going to be 100% spirit because it's going to be part of the medium in there. But the more the medium is able to subdue and stay out of the way, the more the delivery is purer. I know when I get involved and I get in the way, and my spirit friends will say, "You are interfering." And they literally kick me back out of the way so they can do the delivery. It is remarkable. The philosophy, the healing, the changes that occur when they come. And the most important part is that the people feel the presence. And so I say, we let heaven touch earth for the time of that communion.
Getting your mind out of the way seems to always be the challenge. I wanted to know if you had specific techniques or suggestions on how best to do that.
This is a $1 million technique. Question. It is time. It is time to learn to subdue the mind. Because the mind wants to do what it knows. It wants to interfere. It wants to be part of the conversation. And who wants to let go of control and allow a discarnate being to blend with you? It takes time. It takes time for the mind, for the brain to allow that process. And the process is, as I said, is allowing to slow down the brainwave, literally by willing it, by consenting to it, and begin to feel the presence of the spirit. And at the early stages, people will, as soon as there is a presence, they will come back. There will be a fear. that it's very prevalent in our world, unfortunately. But as person who is learning begin to be more and more comfortable with the presence of the spirit, their friends, I call them spirit friends, the blending, the merging, that subduing of the mind, the slowing down of the brainwave to get out of the way. It's practice. And so sitting in the silence, the thoughts will keep rising, rising. You acknowledge them. And the key is not to follow the thought or the colors or the vision or anything that arises with the mind, because the subconscious mind is very colorful. It would want to bring all sorts of things up. So if something comes up, a storyline, a vision, a memory, and we follow it up, we are out of that subdued state. So a thought, a sensation will arise, and we acknowledge it, and we just let it go and continue the process of subduing the mind. As we are subduing the mind, we are then sending a thought from the spirit mind and to allow the spirit world, the spirit friends to join you. And we are setting the intention. What do I want to do within this sitting? Do I want to send healing? Do I want to set philosophy? Do I want to say sit just to be with my spirit friends in that presence, in that blending and merging? It is a very long process. And I see it over and over again when people close their eyes and they begin to speak from their higher self most of the time. And it takes time. And there are signs for the observer to know if actually there is spirit that is present. And some of the signs, so the observer to know, is the skin tone changes. That's something the medium cannot do. So when I go into trance, my skin tone change. It can be red, it can be paler, and then you will see it. Um, the atmosphere will change, the energy will change. And that is the most important thing. So, different, I call it symptoms or outcomes of the blending that the observer should be able to see or to notice when there is a channel, a message, or a healing, or a sketching, or a music. And that is really important to understand that it's not coming from the medium higher mind, which is a wonderful philosophy as well, but it's coming from the intelligence of the spirit world.
Rickie, I wanted to ask you, you've just spoken to us about, how to develop that in trance mediumship. And I was curious to understand how the other forms of mediumship do the same, through clairvoyance or clairsentience or anything like that. How would they access or receive information from the spirit world?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Excellent question. Anything is learnable. And that's therefore there are schools. So we have the ability to nurture what's innate within us. So when we look at the perception mediumship, which is the other part, the mental mediumship, and bringing loved one in and bringing messages from loved ones through the medium, well, there are schools, many, many schools. And the one that I would recommend is Findley College in the UK. Really important to connect to a good teacher. So the foundation of the learning are imperative. We are learning the right way. And then you develop your natural way of connecting. So as you are learning to sit in the power, to raise the vibration, to invite the world unseen, loved one in, and you begin to maybe see or hear, or feel, or note, or know. Then you begin to deliver. You can work with friends, you can work with family, and just say, I'm just practicing before you putting out there into the public. Evidential mediumship, it's important. It's important for the grieving, and it is not to be taken lightly, none whatsoever. With the shift of the earth vibration, more and more people are able to tune in to the unseen world. And I hear almost on a regular basis that people come in and they say, I felt, I saw, I heard in my house. Absolutely. We have the abilities. I don't call them gifts. We have the abilities because we all have the spirit within. And as we learn to tune in, to raise the vibration, to dial up the radio station into the radio station of the unseen world, to shift our awareness from the awareness of the dense vibration, the awareness of the here, into the awareness of who is there. And we bring them close to us and deliver the messages. All clairs should be developed within the medium, but we always have 1, 2, or 3 clairs that are really well developed. In my case, it's my clairaudience. I hear, I also feel. So I hear the spirit speaking and then I deliver it. When we deliver messages, we want to bring the spirit world, the loved one, really close as they are very much part of us. Because if we're going to speak on their behalf, it's like you're not including them in the conversation. So when I work in the mental mediumship and doing the messages from the unseen world, I bring mom close to me. And my goal is to remove myself out of the equation. And I tell the person who is coming to see me in private sitting or in public demonstration, my goal is that I will not be seen, but there is a communion and a reunion between your loved one and you. And so they will bring memories. And I might receive it in a certain way into my mind bank, but it is important to deliver it as it is and not to embellish it, not to translate it, not to interpret it, but to deliver it as it is. 99.9% the recipient will understand the message. And if they say, I don't understand, then I say, hang on a minute, let me go back and ask, because the medium, might have not delivered that in the way that they wanted to deliver, that they wanted the message to be delivered. It's really sometimes important when the recipient doesn't remember. And so I get emails sometimes and he says, oh my God, I went and I checked it out and that was correct. That tells us that the purity of the message, it is there, and the validity of life eternal is there. Because for those who are wanting to debunk mediumship, they might say that the reading is cold, because once we are connecting to the recipient, we might receive what's in their mind, what's in their auric field, and so we can deliver what's already there in the mind. But if there is something that it's not in their mind and we bring it forward, then it's an absolute from the world unseen, from the loved one. And so I had this person who his father came and I said, I have his name. And the recipient says, no, that's not my father's name. This was his name. I'm not going to give any details. And I said, but that's what he's telling me his name. And 2 days later, I get an email. The son didn't know his own father real name in the birth certificate. His father was named and called a certain name, but his actual name was the name that he gave me. So that was beautiful evidence from the world of unseen and a really beautiful message for the son. who received, oh yes, now I know my father's real name, which was really wonderful.
And it's such a fascinating topic, the world of the unseen. And I just wanted to backtrack quickly about the education around psychic mediumship. Is that before our interview, I went and did a bit of reading online, and I was amazed to see the Arthur Findley School in England for mediumship, and they have an absolutely extensive curriculum, and it's very, very serious in a beautiful. It looks like a castle. I mean, the whole school looks magnificent. So I'll put a link in that below for people who are interested in seeing what it looks like. And then, the topic of staying in connected with loved ones who have passed, I think is a major, major topic. And, I've had some experiences myself, which is, part of the reason that you and I connected initially. It wasn't through psychic mediumship, but I've developed a beautiful conversation and connection with certain people who have passed. And I wanted to ask you, the role that you touched on it a little bit, but the role, first of all, that grief plays in all of this, and the connection between grief and mediumship and wanting to stay in connection or in contact with lost loved ones. And then the second part of the question is, do psychic mediums have the ability to, is it just with certain spirits? Can they choose to contact any spirit? How does that part of it work?
Yeah, excellent question. The last part of my nursing career was 8 years in hospice palliative care. And I used to stand there by the dying person bedside, and I could see the spirit leave their body and moves on. I could also see the spirit linger above the body, and the family, most of the cases, families were there, loved ones were there, and some, there were nobody there, and I would just stand there by the bedside while the person taking his last breath. Grief is a very humongous, important process in human evolution. Grief, when we lose someone to the world unseen, it is uninvited guest. It is a dance that people have to learn to dance without their consent, without their wishing or willingness, particularly when we are looking at suicide, murder, overdosing, which our society has been plagued with recently. When a mother loses a son and he has been found 13 days later, the amount of grief that she experienced, it's immense. So where do you begin to heal? And when that mother comes to see me to bring forth the communion, me as a medium have to understand the layers upon layers, not just of the loved one, but the way of delivery and the compassion and care during the delivery that is with the mom, the recipient. And so it is not just bringing the loved one, which is absolutely important, but also to know that the mom who is sitting there, how can we help you move and transition? It is really important to understand that there will take time for adjustment for the world unseen. And so when we bring that connection and the recipient, this mother is connecting with a son who have overdosed, for instance, and he begins to give messages and he begins to describe his final hours and he begins to bring memories of their lives and he begins to give messages. And the mom who sits there in my space, there are crying, there is a conversation, and there is a beginning of healing journey. Not just for mom, but for the son as well. And as a medium, my job, my role is to allow for that transformation for both sides, to allow for that transformation. And it is really important for the medium to understand the immense impact that grief has on both sides, not just the recipient, but the loved one as well. So my role is to step out of the way and to bring an opportunity for healing and for words that maybe have never been said when they were alive, to release of guilt, to release of blame. And so that is absolutely imperative to bring forward. We cannot ask for any spirit to step forward. And so part of my pre-talk when a recipient comes or audience, a public, is I cannot bring anybody, but I will set the intention. I don't remember that a loved one didn't come. So the role of a medium is to be able to move with their vibration to all level of existence. So if someone just passed away with a murder or with a suicide or being in coma for days, that I have to understand what is going on within the spirit world and to say, okay, I know you were unresponsive in the intensive care unit for days. So I'm asking that loved one, okay, you can talk to me now. Let's move that last hour scenario out of the way and you can talk to me. And then bring the messages. Yes? And that is the key.
And thank you for that explanation on grief and for helping people transition and helping support them in it. I've experienced a fair amount of it myself, and slowly but surely I've come to the realization that it's just sort of the flip side of love, and that you could never really experience intense grief if you hadn't experienced intense love for that person. So it's the unfortunate, or not fortunate, it's just the other side of love. So that was a beautiful explanation. Thank you. Rickie, yes, go ahead.
There is another statement that I would really love to bring forward is, as a medium, there is no judgment. So if I, as a medium, have an issue with people who take drugs or people who drink or people who do certain things in their life, I, as a medium, will have a harder time to connect these loved ones. And so the medium has to have to understand, because I do have recipients who come in and say, I went to see this medium and they couldn't connect to my son, to my daughter. And us as a medium is to understand our own values and to come to a place of knowing our own fear or not fear of mortality, death and dying, and move and transform with that. Because as a medium, we should have the ability to commune with anyone who crossed over. And depending on when they crossed over and how they crossed over, and if they are the one who wanting to come and talk to us as well. But if I am judgmental, I won't be able to connect. I won't be able to connect because there will be a blockage within my mind to connect to that certain activity that that person did in their lives. So I encourage, and my belief is that we as medium have to work through our own stuff and to be an open vessel. If we put ourselves to be an open vessel and an instrument to the world unseen, to really understand the fundamental of why are we doing this? What are my goals? Do I want fame? Do I want money? Do I want to be out there? Or do I want to bring healing? And so it is really important. This is a really important point that I would like to emphasize when we are learning how to be and connecting to the world unseen, and to know, why are you doing it? What is your purpose? Why do you want to become a medium? Why do you want to be a channel, an instrument, a trance medium? What is it there? And if it is about humanity and it is about bringing love and healing, I would highly encourage you to pursue it, because there is opportunity that you might be used by the world unseen that somebody else doesn't have, but you do have that ability to bring something from the world unseen that it's unique to you.
That actually, it leads quite well into the next question that I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about purpose and different reasons for choosing to become a psychic medium and the different modalities. But unfortunately, it is also, a field that is open to a lot of, fraudulent people, fraudulent mediums, or people claiming certain things. And I know it's probably an uncomfortable question, but it's always there on people's, in people's minds. And so how could you, say that one should or could distinguish between, a fraudulent medium, or one that doesn't have the best intentions, and, someone who is authentic and has integrity around what they're doing?
This is an excellent question and a really important one. When we look at the real deal medium, and the evidence is in the recipient, the validation. So when a person is going to see a medium, the evidence that loved one brings in, the recipient should be able to accept. If the medium is not a medium, but is a psychic, meaning I look at your magnetic field, I look at your auric field, and I give you messages about you. And I've heard that. And they say, oh, grandmother is here and she's telling me, and they do complete psychic reading. It is about the person. It is not about the spirit world. So the person who is going to see a medium, first of all, do a real review, a Google review, what people say about that person. Ask your friends, was that person recommended to you? And then you can take it from there. What qualification do they have? Where have they studied? Who have they studied with? And it is really important. I have seen again and again and again people who may have a lack of understanding, but also the lay people may have a lack of understanding between the differences of a medium, of a psychic, and a trance medium. So when they go to a demonstration and the psychics stand on stage and give messages from oracle cards and so on, that's psychic reading. This is about the person themselves, about their life, about what happened to them in their life, what's going to happen to them in their life. It's nothing to do with loved ones. And so the loved one medium who is bringing messages from loved one, it is bringing the evidence that the recipient can validate, this is my mom. That's what she did. That's exactly what she told me. This is what I told her in the last, when she was taking her last breath. So there is the evidence, and that's what we call it evidential mediumship. When you look at trance mediumship, it's a little bit more difficult. If people have no idea what to expect, and persons who close their eyes and they begin to speak and bring messages from the higher self, Then the lay person may say, well, that was a really good message, but was it from spirit? Or was it from the medium higher mind? So as I said earlier, there are signs that you can tell if it's the medium higher mind or it's actually the intelligence, the external intelligence that spoke through the medium. Again, the skin color change is something that the medium cannot make. The skin color change, red, darker, pale, some shadow over the eyes. The spirit world within the trance, it's always going to be upliftment. There's no darkness. There's no fear. That's not going to be their purpose. So if the trance channelers begin to speak about darkness and fear and all of these things, that's the medium mind that bringing his own fear into humanity. What are the words that the trance medium, what's coming? What is the message? What is the delivery? And that is really important. I paid for demonstration in the past and I just left because it was an insult to my intelligence to say this is a spirit world, but there was none. So I've left both mediumship demonstration as well as trance demonstration, even though I pay the money. And that is okay. Is for us to understand what not to do. And where is your integrity? The integrity is about love, about bringing upliftment to humanity and healing and being an instrument to the invisible world, not an instrument to the power that we want to have. And that is really important question to understand the differences.
Rickie, another question. We've been speaking mostly about connecting to the spirit world and bringing forward messages from mainly the spirit world. Is there also a way to predict future events or, other types of things aside from connection with the spirit world?
When you're looking at mediumship, a recipient, I get many phone calls actually. Can you do prediction? And I said, I'm sorry, that's not the line of my work. But if loved one come in and they tell you things that might change or will change, then it's coming from loved one. I believe in your own destiny. I believe that you are the writer of your own story. So if I'm going to sit there and tell you in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, this is going to happen to you, you're going to be directing your life into that places which may not be the right thing for you. And therefore, I have people who come to see me and said, 20 years ago, this person, this medium told me that I will, and I'm still waiting. So in other words, prediction within my school, it shouldn't. We do not do prediction. A medium does not do prediction. A psychic reader, a tarot card does, but I am not a tarot card reader, so I can't speak for them. But as a medium, if you are coming to me to say, I would like to have prediction, I would send you to a tarot card reader and I would say no, because it is not the intention of my work. When we're looking at trance mediumship, at times, the spirit world will come and say, like when they speak through me, they come and say, awaken your souls, awaken your mind, ascend your mind to God, ascend your mind to the higher, awaken yourself. But there is no anything to do with darkness, but there is about the era that we are living in and the era that we are going into. And the time is that they're telling us that for us to be together, to unite together, and to awaken to each other and to the presence of love, which is God. So that's the spirit world who was speaking through me And I am not by any means any religion, so any religious woman or anything to do with any of this world. So when they begin to speak through me those kind of messages, it really took me by surprise. I'm used to it by now, but it took me quite some time.
Rickie, we've been speaking mostly about, the connection to the spirit world, messages from the spirit world, and the idea and the fact that they mostly of an uplifting nature, right? And they're mostly positive and they mostly want to see you do well and succeed. I wanted to ask, are there any negative consequences that you can speak into that may be associated with engaging in mediumship of any sort or in trance mediumship?
Yes, that's another very good question. As a medium, loved ones sometimes can tell you things that the recipient may not know. For instance, that they have taken their own lives, but the recipient does not know that. If I'm going to tell the recipient your loved one took their own life in such a way that can really have a huge impact on the recipient life, we have to be extremely aware of this delivery. Recently, I was in a vicinity of another medium who told me that he told a sitter, a recipient, that her son is going to die. I was so upset beyond what I can tell you here. It's not the right thing to do. We have a responsibility as mediums and as psychic. And if there is something that there is there that you know that you shouldn't be saying, then don't. Deliver it in a way that it's love. If you're seeing an elements, an illness, and within the recipient, and so you can maybe make a suggestion. Maybe when was the last time you visited the doctor? Maybe it would be a good idea to visit. But don't tell someone you've got cancer. So all of those things, we must be cautious and have a great understanding and responsibility of what we deliver when it comes to negative, because there absolutely can be a negative impact.
Think that they are very important subtleties and considerations to think about that I didn't even consider, so I can imagine how important they are to someone who's learning psychic mediumship or trance mediumship or stepping into it for the first time. And I wanted to mention that, I had the honor and the privilege of speaking to one of your classes about one of my experiences that was unrelated to mediumship, and it was such a pleasure doing it at the time. And what I did find was a class full of very dedicated, very insightful, very sort of dedicated to the work that they were doing, and with a lot of respect towards you, which was such a pleasure to see and experience. And I know that you have and hold courses and you teach people mediumship. And I wanted to ask two questions. One, if you could tell us a little bit about your courses. And two, what should someone who's considering exploring this field, maybe for the first time, what suggestions would you have for them that would be helpful?
It was wonderful to have you with us and sharing your own experience. Um, I teach trance mediumship. That's where my passion is, and that's what I am called to do. So it's mostly online, and it starts right from essentials, fundamental of trance, all the way to intermediate and advanced. When someone join the course of trance mediumship, I would recommend to join the essential, the fundamentals, and to gain an understanding. Most people who are trance is not for them, will not join the intermediate and advanced classes. But the essential gives them the opportunity to connect to their spirit, the spirit within, and to begin to be in connection with the presence of their spirit team, their spirit friends. So they may not want to continue to become a trance medium or a trance healer, but just to have that knowledge, that knowing, okay, there is the presence of spirit. I feel it. I know it. And that will influence intuition, inspiration in your daily life. And so that is the basis. And so when someone wants to consider a trance mediumship, that would be my recommendation, to find a good teacher. So can anybody do trance? Can anybody become a trance medium? You may not be able to speak as a trance medium, but you may want to do trance healing or trance writing or trance music. So there are so many layers to it. Yes, or you may just want to find out what is trance and how to work with your own spirit team without having a delivery to the public or to people.
Do you have any books that you could recommend to someone who's starting out or someone who's a little bit more advanced that could, help them with the topic and help them understand better?
Yes, some of the books that I enjoy reading is a Silver Birch series, and you can find them on Amazon, or also if you go into the Art of Findley books, you will find books that are recommended there. There's a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information. And so see and find books that are written by mediums, by the pioneers, Gordon Higginson, Emma Harding Britton, the pioneer who have paved the way for us. But one book that a series that I highly recommend is Guidance from Silver Birch. Um, and it is a medium that's called Maurice Barbanel, who brought through trance a spirit that called Silver Birch, and he gave a lot of teaching. So that would be a good place to start. Another book that I really enjoy to look at every once in a while is a guide to a Bodhisattva life, which is a way of life by Santa Diva. There are going to be many books that people can recommend and learn from. But the most important book exists within each and every one of us, and that's the book of life, as my spirit friends have called it. And the book of life, the infinite book of life, is within you. The knowledge, the infinite knowledge exists within each and every person. And so it is about learning to access this infinite knowledge, which is there for you. You're just learning to move your awareness into the within and find the knowledge when you're raising your vibration, and it's right there. All that you need is right there in the book of life.
What is your overarching message to the world around mediumship?
That's a big one. I would go back to the fundamental. Why are you doing this? What's in it? For a medium, to become a medium, it is a calling. I never heard about mediumship. I didn't even know what it is until the teacher in the hypnosis school, Jeannie Martin, God bless her, she says, Rickie, you're a psychic medium. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm a nurse. I work in Richmond Hospital. It's a calling. It's a responsibility. It's a lifelong unfoldment, a journey. It's not an arrival place. You can be a good medium, you can get names, and you can get all of it. But within this line of profession, let's say, there is a major responsibility. And so the main message that I want to give to those mediums who are wanting to do it, thinking about it, or are working with it, is to always remember the fundamental. And the fundamental is love. The fundamental is healing. The fundamental is bringing humanity together. The fundamental is we are all connected as brothers and sisters, and there are no differences, no separation and division within any of us.
Thank you, Rickie. That's a beautiful message. And I would like to take a moment to acknowledge you for the difference that you make in this world. I also would like to thank you and acknowledge you for, first of all, your time as a nurse and all the service that you were to people in that career. I'd also like to thank and acknowledge you for your time in hospice and how important that is, and how you help people transition and were there by their side. I think that that's such an important task. And then I also want to thank you for, you know, the support that you have for people who have lost loved ones and who are going through their grief, and the space that you create for that to come out. And I'd also like to acknowledge your connection to the spirit world. And, you know, as I was listening to you talking, you mentioned helping people release guilt and blame after loved ones have passed. And my gosh, what a valuable gift to be able to bring that out in someone. So thank you for that too. And last but not least, you have the most incredibly peaceful energy, and I can feel it from here. And I'm very grateful for that and the love that you bring into the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gaia, for this wonderful opportunity to be here together in your presence. I know that you do a lot of wonderful stuff and support in different parts of the world, and that is light, is to take and bring forth your knowledge, your abilities, and to put it out to work, to put in, and then you're doing it, you're giving opportunities to people to come together, to listen, to learn, to heal, and to create a different world. So I would like to thank you on behalf of my spirit team, my spirit friends, on behalf of loved ones, the voiceless voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rickie. And actually, for those of you who have been watching, and if you've enjoyed the content, it would be hugely helpful to us, and we greatly appreciate it if you like and subscribe and comment. If you'd like to put questions for Rickie in the comments below, that would be amazing. Also, we'll be posting links to Rickie's courses, to her website, and any other offerings that she has. So please feel free. We'll also put Rickie's book recommendations if you'd like to go ahead and explore those. And also stay tuned for other interviews that we're going to be having. Thank you to all of you for watching, and thank you, Rickie, for being here.